To escape her husband's murder plot, Laura decided to disguise herself. She donned a wig, stuck on a beard, and transformed from a blonde beauty into a rugged-looking man. The reason? Her husband Mike had an unbearable obsession with control. If he discovered the towels at home were arranged unevenly, he would immediately summon Laura to the room and force her to reflect on whether there were other areas of disarray. Laura realized the middle towel was slightly shorter and hastily apologized, rearranging them. But even so, she couldn't escape Mike's brutal beating. To avoid giving her husband any chance to criticize, Laura checked the home decor over and over every day until everything was in perfect order. Only then could she breathe a slight sigh of relief. When she witnessed her husband taking the initiative to chat up their new neighbor, Laura didn't realize danger was quietly approaching. As the two planned a trip out to sea together, the neighbor unintentionally complimented Laura, triggering Mike's intense suspicion. Back home, Mike's words were barbed. He praised the neighbor's good looks while probing to see if Laura had contact with him while Mike was away on business. Despite Laura's firm denial of knowing the neighbor, she was beaten once again. But in the next moment, Mike's attitude changed abruptly. He gently helped her up, remembering an important event tonight. The neighbor had invited them out to sea. Laura had no choice but to agree. While Mike was out, Laura smashed the streetlight in front of the door not to vent her emotions, but to set up a signal for her upcoming plan. That night, the three of them set sail, intending to enjoy the night scenery. Unexpectedly, a storm suddenly struck, and strong winds snapped the sail ropes. As Mike tried to control the boom, he was knocked into the sea. The neighbor struggled to rescue him, but when he climbed back on board, Laura was nowhere to be found. The two shouted loudly, but even after searching for 3 days, there was no trace of his wife. Although Mike sought help from the police, only Laura's life jacket was found. Knowing his wife couldn't swim, Mike had to accept the fact that she had drowned. A few days later, he held a funeral for Laura. However, Mike didn't know that Laura had actually made it to shore and was quietly watching him cry out in anguish. It turned out Laura had long planned her escape. Every day while Mike was at work, she secretly learned to swim, which finally came in handy today. Breaking the streetlight was to identify the direction while out at sea. After returning to shore, she immediately went back to the villa, retrieved the clothes she had hidden on the roof, changed her outfit, put on the wig, threw her ring into the toilet, and then quickly boarded a bus to New York to start her new life. Laura arrived in an unfamiliar small town. Seeing children laughing and playing in the square, she felt the air was filled with the fragrance of freedom. She rented a small house, far from the mansion she once had, but she decorated it with care to make it cozy and beautiful. Whenever she saw the towels neatly arranged, she would deliberately mess them up. When the boxes in the cupboard were lined up neatly, she would knock them over with a sweep of her hand. This feeling of being unrestrained made her feel incredibly happy. Meanwhile, Mike was still immersed in grief until he received a call from a swim coach asking why Laura hadn't come to class recently. This struck Mike like a thunderbolt. He had always thought his wife couldn't swim. If she could swim, how could she have drowned? He immediately went home to search and sure enough, found that wedding ring in the toilet. The ring that should have sunk into the sea with his wife had appeared at home. At that moment, he was certain Laura was not dead. Even more shocking to him was that Laura had not only escaped, but had started a new romance with none other than his neighbor John. The first time she met him, Laura was drawn to this debonair college professor. He was knowledgeable and full of romantic sentiments, quickly winning Laura's heart. However, at this point, they were still completely unaware. Mike, now knowing the truth, had quietly rushed over. Although he didn't know Laura's exact hiding place, he had a handle on one of her weaknesses, Laura's mother. The blind old woman was currently living in a nursing home, and that's where Mike was keeping watch. He was convinced Laura would surely